Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. Today our guest is Brandon Smith. He is CEO of Bondly. Bondly is a portable peer-to-peer exchange that enables trading across any chain through any medium. Welcome, Brandon. It's amazing to have you in Point Blank.
Oh, thanks so much, Mark. It's great to join you.
Sweet. Let's kick it off. So, Brandon, can you tell us about your background and experience?
Yeah, so for the past 15 years, I've been in the financial services space. So I worked for big companies like PwC. I worked for major banks while I was there. So, for example, Citi and Santander. And then also I worked for other major manufacturing companies like GE. And most lately, I worked for a startup called ShieldPay, which is similar to escrow.com. And what I realized through that whole process is the banking system can't be fixed from the inside, right? There's a lot of needs for payments and transfers, but it's really difficult to use the existing rails. So that's why crypto is so important, but it's going to become even more important in the next few years as we get more and more digital assets. So that's what Bondly is focused on.
Can you share with us who is part of the core team also?
Sure. So three of our major executive team, we're onboarding people every day, to be honest. We're at about 25 people total across the whole team. But three of our core executives are myself, Harry Liu, who is our COO. So his focus and his role is how to onboard e-commerce businesses onto Bondly's platform, and also coordinate our features and functionality to match everything relating to what's happening in the digital asset space. So he's an amazing entrepreneur, and I've worked with him for a number of years in and out of crypto, but his skill set is really something you can't find in many other people. So I'm grateful to have him. And then also Megan Liu, with no relation, is also she's basically the head of innovative projects with Bondly. So she's already taken on several different roles while being with us, but she's done an amazing job understanding how to blend social media analytics with the upcoming, trend in what we term digital assets. So those are just two of the many. I could go on all day about all 25. But we have a really strong team. I think it's one of our differentiators, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting more experience with you as well.
It's amazing that you guys have a strong team, especially with experience with real world companies that can make the project to succeed in real life.
Thank you.
So, Brandon, what is Bondly in your words?
Yeah, so I think Bondly is really the next generation of e-commerce. That's the way we see it. We have to sum it up into something very, very short. So we resemble our product suite resembles PayPal in that we have a lot of features and that we have an easy to use interface. We resemble Stripe, which Stripe really changed the world because they were able to make any website integrate credit cards super easily. And we're similar to your favorite, cryptocurrencies, which we use as well, because we're entirely smart contract driven. So taking these factors plus being cheaper than all of them, we think that there's a huge space for what Bondly can do, which what we're doing right now is our product Bond Protect, which we'll go into more detail, but realistically, this will be the next e-commerce option that you see at most of your favorite sites, especially ones that deal in digital assets. So you might see us next to PayPal, you might need to see us next to Alipay. But the goal there is we support things like crypto-based escrow. We support things like digital asset transfer. So thinking about NFTs, which we'll go into probably later. You'll probably ask me a question on that. But basically that's the we're super easy to integrate with any site, and I think that's where we're differentiated.
Cool. So why Bondly choose Polkadot and not Ethereum or Solana?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot, and I think that I don't think people really understand what Polkadot really means to the rest of the blockchain space. And we really see it as a significant leap forward in technology when it comes to doing crypto. Because if you think about Bitcoin, which represents sort of distributed and decentralized transfer of value, right? And then you think about Ethereum, which is basically decentralized and virtual computing, along with value. Well, Polkadot is really sort of a blockchain of blockchains. So meaning like you have all the benefits, and you also can make your own forkless upgrades to what you're doing. So you can have a mini Ethereum that you create, but it has all the security of a larger blockchain at the same time. And on top of all this, being completely interoperable. So meaning that any other blockchains that come up, any other things that happen, interoperability is a core feature of what Polkadot offers. So for us, when we think about all the blockchains that we're going to be on, which are many, right? We're going to be doing a lot with different currencies and different chains. But when we think about a home base, we thought that, based on all the factors, that makes the most sense to us.
Nice. Does Bondly currently has any partnership? I've seen you guys posting a lot lately about partnerships.
So we have over 20 partnerships announced and unannounced with companies inside and outside of crypto. And the reason why we're holding back on some of those announcements is because we're a build first and then talk about it later kind of project. So at this point, we haven't released our initial product either. So just to be very candid, which would be BondSwap, but it's currently running on 2 major blockchains in testnet, and we're working through the smart contract level is done. The front end is still in the final stages of being wrapped up to the UX side, and then we're also completing smart contract audit. But I think going back to the question, right? Partnerships are not just with things like Chainlink, which I think our partnership with Chainlink will actually be a big milestone for crypto in general, because it'll be the first time that we have an Oracle that's supporting social media data for the sake of evaluating an account. So meaning like, how much is my Instagram worth? That is the type of data that we're collecting and analyzing that will be readily available through Chainlink's Oracle network, right? So that's just one of our partnerships. But not only that, we have partnerships with many of the major layer 1 blockchain solutions. And the reason why that is, and we'll be announcing them, is because they see the potential for the type of activities and transactions that Bondly can do, and then how we're sort of changing how people are thinking about digital assets. And so like for us, I know your question was very simple, and I'm giving you a long answer, so I apologize for that. But yeah, so for us, partnerships are sort of secondary. What we're really sort of, and we have many of them, but what we're really trying to do is really figure out how we can combine everything to make the whole crypto landscape change related to digital assets.
Awesome. What is the purpose of the current NFT project you guys got running, considering payments will be the focus of Bondly?
Yeah, and I think it's really, and we get this question a lot, and I think that if you go on our Telegram right now, you might see a lot of talk about anime characters, and a lot of people getting confused, right? It's like, are you guys e-commerce, or like, are you a manga studio, right? So I think that and I hope I can share this with your listeners too, because it's a little bit visual, but really we see there's 3 major pillars to the Bondly ecosystem. So one is our products. So our specifically our product Bond Protect is our e-commerce solution that we're currently have 15 MOUs in progress, some signed, some still on their way to be signed, with major e-commerce websites right now, where we will integrate next year. So that's definitely happening. So our token is basically the currency, the reward system, the network support, everything that's the aspect of what we do in the Bondly ecosystem. That's essential. But really, going back to the NFT card game. So I don't think people realize really what NFT is capable of. So when we were looking at for example, partners who are looking to get into digital collectibles and use Bondly as a mechanism to trade, we started to realize how important it was that from our product standpoint, we had to change the narrative of it just being an item that people saw. And like a lot of people make analogies to cards. Even we made the analogy to cards, right? We are art pieces. But realistically, this is not what NFT can do. So we're going to be here to help the whole industry to see that NFT is not just an item, but it's really related to an identity. And the identity of somebody who owns one of our cards right now is not only do they have, what we think is a cool piece of art, but they get free fees on our product fee swap. They can enter our gaming platform where they can participate in tournaments with other both free and premium tournaments. They get access to our VIP group, which is a specialty chat group that only people who have a card can access. They also have the ability to join some of our fan art contests. So in total, there's about 7 different utilities that one card can provide. And all somebody has to do is have that one card. So we see this as essential because we now know who our real fans of our product are. And just by owning one of these pieces of art, not only does it grow in value, as we've seen after we launched the card game, and most of the cards are now at somewhere between 5 to 10x of the value. Not only is there a chance for that asset to grow, you also get things like no fees on our products, right? So there's a huge new room for this being someone's identity. And that's why we consider it so essential to Bondly's strategy moving forward, because we're all about trading NFT on our e-commerce platform. I mean, that's essentially where we think everything's going. So
that's just a great way to gamify Bondly and achieve mass adoption, really.
thanks.
This episode is brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange that makes possible to trade with leverage on legacy markets from a single Bitcoin-based account.
So, Brandon, what makes Bondly unique better than the competition, and why will it thrive?
I think some of that I probably answered a little bit in the last one, so I don't want to repeat too much, but I will say our strategy is we are a business first. So Harry, my partner, and I, some of our other folks, we created the business side of Bondly before we even had any code released. So for us, it was creating a product that met our need that existed already. So if you contrast that to many sort of financial experiment projects where they have a cool concept and then you just throw it out there and see what happens. All of our product development has all been extremely intentional and targeted to an audience that we are focused on earning revenue and gaining market share.
Is the token ultimately needed?
Yeah, I would say yes, because having our own currency that we can control the economics of is essential to both our product side and our card side. So meaning that our products require it, and our cards to participate in the gaming side of the BCCG, you have for premium tournaments, it's a required currency to do that, which we think is also very differentiated. So the utility of strengthening our network, especially when we move to Polkadot mainnet, is going to be absolutely essential to have a native asset there. So we are launching.
Sorry. When does the migration happen to Polkadot?
Yeah, so we'll be talking more about our Kusama version early next year, and then the goal is to get to Polkadot mainnet as a parachain by July.
Sweet.
So yeah, it's definitely on our roadmap. We're really excited about it, and I think that what you'll find out, not to spoil too much, but like over our next partnerships that we'll announce, and so we've announced already partnership with Darwinia, and we've announced a partnership with Fala. So I think that your fans should expect that we'll have more on that related to the existing parachains that are out there, and how Bondly will work with them in the meantime. While our initial product is Solidity based, right? It's EVM compatible, and it's going to be on like EVM compatible chains. But eventually, yeah, we'll be working with them and the other more notable parachain projects who are ahead of us to make sure that we can be something that supports the overall network.
So, Brandon, how is Bondly funded right now?
Sure. So we did a private sale that was focused around highly strategic investors that would take part in our token sale. And we're also doing an equity round as well that will be focused on securing long-term partners that are e-commerce focused. So meaning that mostly non-crypto investors that are going to be focused around the e-commerce space that have connections and can help us to make sure we have a majority, or like we continue the momentum that we have relating to onboarding new businesses.
And how those funds are aligned to the roadmap? How does the roadmap look like?
Yeah, so majority of what we're spending now is really, I think Polkadot development is one of the hardest. Or I wouldn't say it's hardest. I'd say it's very challenging because there's not many substrate developers in the world right now. So what we're finding is we're having to take people who are Ethereum developers who are really good, and we're training them, right? So I think there's a lot of process steps there in doing that. We're also finding that, as we released our card game, having something like a product that you can go and just swap cards with somebody or swap NFTs with somebody. So not getting any currency involved, just saying you have this, I have this, and you just want to swap with them. I mean, it sounds so simple, and it sounds like something you would do on a playground, right, with someone. But that kind of functionality doesn't exist right now in DeFi. So those are the other things that we're finding special projects that where we think we can add a lot of value to the overall space. So the other things are pretty standard. Like we have where our team is growing, so things like payroll, things like marketing, definitely part of the expenses. But honestly, I have to thank our community so much because we haven't really done much in terms of marketing once we came out, but it's been really phenomenal, especially in the past 2 weeks, to see such a growth factor, specifically relating to our game. Yeah, so for us, like that's really what we're spending the money on, like, and what we're doing. I would say that my partner Harry and I have not taken a salary, and we won't until we've fully launched both our product and our token, because for us it's essential that we give everything we can to the company and make sure that the launch is successful before we take any other actions like that.
What about the token release and plans for exchanges? Is that happening on Q4?
Yeah, so there's certain levels I can't talk about based on based on my legal team, right? There's certain limits of what I can discuss, but I'd say that what is public is that our initial launch will happen via via our DEX options that are very common on the chains that we'll be launching on. So you should expect that you'll be able to use some of the very common DEX options as part of our release, and they'll be highly liquid.
Sweet. Many people get excited and hyped and sometimes frustrated because there's no clarity on the time of the release of tokens. Sure. Or when is it going to be listed on exchanges.
Right. Oh, yeah. In terms of timeline, we have the smart contract completely finished. So every aspect of what's happened is perfectly fine. It's right now in the second week of, or actually maybe third week of audit. So it's going through the process of making sure that the security for the contract is completely penetration tested. There's no exploits. There's no open minting functions that could show that. So we have one set of tokens, and there will never be another token minted in that contract ever. So this is the kind of things we want to make sure are absolutely set, and we want to make sure it's compatible with things like Uniswap, right? Because there's been some projects lately that have released smart contracts that haven't fit the current standards on this. So for us, that security is paramount, especially in today's day and age when so many platforms are getting hacked. So that for us is the only thing that's really the last step before we release.
Reassuring to hear. What will be the governance of Bondly be like by 2022?
Yeah, so I think what a lot of people might not realize is that we actually do have a governance token, but it's not the Bondly token. It's our NFT card game. So another function that we didn't even talk about before is that for more or less, the card game will operate as a voting mechanism for many of the platform changes. So not only can you play your favorite game using Bondly's tournaments, not only can you just get free fees on some of our products, right? BondSwap specifically, but yeah, you also have a voting mechanism for the roadmap. So for us, we think it makes way more sense to have it as a separate token that operates that way, and then we have the Bondly token as sort of the mechanism for actually making payments. So it never made sense to me, at least, how these two things would be the same, or and I think they're two very different functions. So that's why we're glad that we can sort of integrate a very retail-oriented product with like anime characters on it, but it also has a major role in our overall ecosystem.
So, and off to the last question, Brandon.
Sure.
What do you think is the biggest challenge will be for Bondly?
I think it's education, right? So when we started this, nobody had really everybody said NFTs are CryptoKitties. Like there's no other thing. It's just that, right? Starting last year when we began this whole process. And what we've discovered is, thankfully, because of the latest bull run, NFTs all of a sudden became another hot discussion topic. Something we've been discussing for years now, but also it fit a core narrative that's really heavy right now. But I think that a lot of people are really still confused on what they can do and what they are. And for us, another time, I'd be happy to come on and talk longer about sort of the digital asset revolution that's going to happen when we start to be able to move things like YouTube accounts and even maybe your Twitter account, you move it onto as a trustless NFT that you can actually use to sell or have loans against, and yeah, do all sorts of really interesting financial products with a real world asset that's valuated outside of crypto, right? So I think that's the biggest challenge, really, going back to it, is that we need people to understand more, and we hope to do our part with our game, getting people involved. We've had a large number of people, thankfully, participate in our card sales, and I think it is helping and we're running things like art contests where we're asking people, hey, go and create an NFT with one of our fan art of one of our characters, and they do that and they walk through the process and they mint their first NFT for the first time. So I was like, I never knew how to do this before. I never really knew what NFT was. Now I do. So it's like we're educating people gradually on what the capacity and capability of them are. So that really will determine how successful we are, is how good we are in education.
Awesome. I want to thank you, Brandon, for your time. Thanks for coming on to Point Blank. Can you tell us where we can find you?
Yeah, so I'm BondsmithB at Twitter, but everything relating to Bondly, you can look at Bondly Finance on Twitter, and then we have an official channel on Telegram as well. Also go to bondly.finance, which is our website.
Awesome. Thanks for listening. Until next time, peace.
This episode was brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange where you can trade without KYC on legacy markets with your Bitcoin. You can trade commodities like gold, silver, oil, even indexes and forex. Join now and get a 50% bonus on top of your deposit for trading at u.primexbt.com/Panama.